Hey folks, welcome to our latest long-awaited episode of Football is Life. We are back. And I have missed it. I have been chomping at the bit to get on air and just, I don't even know. I just feel I've got so much pent-up emotion that I need to share because of all the things that have been happening. If somebody took a holiday at almost the worst time in footballing terms, we won't say who it is, right? We won't say who it is, right?
We were both on holiday. No, we were both on holiday.
We were both on holiday.
Pat, don't take the bullet for him. Don't take the bullet, Pat.
Just one of us might have taken a little bit longer. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, and didn't want to take his laptop on holiday with him, and okay, whatever. So anyway, lesson learned for next time. So that's strike one, Wazza. So anyway, listen, we've got a ton of stuff to cover because so much has happened. It feels like the football world has just exploded, gone crazy. I mean, yeah, where to start? But I think we've kind of agreed where we start is we haven't really. I mean, look, terrible time in the world just now. Everyone I think is feeling the same. Lots of crazy stuff going on after coming out of a global or feeling like we're coming out of a global pandemic into this kind of weird stuff. But related to that, Chelsea Football Club have ended up at the center of some of this stuff. Thomas Tuchel's been taking a lot. I don't envy him taking a lot of tough questions. Chelsea fans, how are we feeling? I mean, I think we have to start there, fellas, right? We where else can we start but the situation at Chelsea Football Club? I saw like we have that, we are kind of like work group, and the Chelsea people are like, Chelsea are going to be non-existent, and now it's like they're saying, just to pick out some highlights here. There's will Chelsea Football Club exist? They've been given like a budget to go to games that definitely isn't enough. People are, Kai Havertz is talking about, I'll drive to the game if I have to. And, it's like, just kind of things you love to see and love to hear in a way, right? Which is like bursting this bubble of like, footballers being, all the extravagance that comes with that, which has been crazy. And then almost like the Chelsea people that run the club are just bonkers, right? They are like, they're playing Middlesbrough in a cup game of the weekend, and they're trying to claim for sporting integrity reasons that it should be played behind closed doors because they're not allowed to. I'm like, come on, right? That is just so. I don't even know where to start on this, right? You could start at like how the club is run, the fans, the manager, the players, the uncertainty. Waleed, where's your head? You've had lots of time to relax and reflect, right? Where's your head at with this one?
I mean, I have one. I know maybe two or three good Chelsea fans, but apart from that, I think that's probably the upper limit that you can really manage to contain. So you can ask it to happen to a better club, but I mean, it's a horrible situation in the world, but even worse for Chelsea at this moment in time. But I'm they're in a pretty horrible position. I mean, their wage bill, I think, is above 300 million, but they can't generate any new revenue because if it goes into Abramovich's pocket, that doesn't work. They can't get to games because it's 20 grand for the entire set of people to actually get somewhere. And if you look at the price of train tickets, like, I don't know if any of you have been to Preston before, but that costs 100 quid from London, let alone like getting 50 people to run on the train itself. But I think that, I don't know, in all of this, the thing that I'm thinking is that Chelsea do have this silver lining opportunity where, for example, they can shed this, oh, we're owned by an oligarch and we buy success. Like, they have an opportunity to maybe shape that into something more holistic and something more organic. Like, I mean, obviously they're going to get bought by
Man City, yeah. You've had to sign some people from somewhere else, right? Just to, I mean, that's a nicer model, Pat, right? I mean, that seems
exactly. Yeah, exactly. You saw the face I made when he said.
Oh that. Yeah, I mean, I'm going. It's not quite the Aston Villa financial fair play comment, but I mean, we were getting in the same kind of territory there, right?
But anyway, what I'm saying,
yeah, go on.
Yeah. What I'm saying is that they can now, like, losing Abramovich may not be the worst thing in the world. Maybe financially they will have to take a huge hit, but in terms of like the fan base and club being slightly more respected in the football world, I think they have a good opportunity.
Yeah, Pat, what's your? I mean, look, I mean, you're not a native of our country, and as some of our listeners may have got. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's been obvious, but you're kind of newish to like this kind of, like the whole soccer. Yeah, let's be a soccer fan. Like, what's your? I mean, it's almost unprecedented, right? I just don't. I mean, what's your take on this whole thing?
Yeah, I try not to ever use the S word, but when you said earlier, like Chelsea fans, what are you feeling? Like there's going to be crickets on the call because none of the three of us are really. It's pretty obvious none of the three of us are all huge fans there. But I do think that people make their money how they make their money, and the ownership of a club, like pretty much you can look at anyone anywhere, and it's hard to say there's nothing untoward in ownership somewhere. So I'll kind of take it easy on you a little bit, Waleed, with ownership in City, but I do think it's a very interesting time right now. I don't understand all the dynamics of what's going on over there. I think and I don't understand or know or pretend to understand if he has anything to do, if Abramovich has anything to do at all with anything that's happening in Russia. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. Maybe it should touch Chelsea. Maybe it shouldn't. I don't really know the answer to that, but but what I do know is it's a difficult situation for everyone involved. Wow, I mean, just it's really just awful. I mean, the awful in Ukraine, awful what's happening in the region, and then also awful even for Chelsea fans and the Chelsea team. Put aside the ownership, like I don't know if everyone on the team deserves to be going through that or whatever is going to end up happening here. Whether all the fans deserve it. It's just a really unfortunate situation.
Yeah, I'd echo that. I think there's there's part of me that's like you can kind of go, you could get into territory, kind of go, well, what they did is they bought the success and it's coming back to bite them in the ass. I agree though. I think the ownership of Chelsea, ownership of clubs, look, like you say, that I think what it shines a question on is, and this has always been my thing, and I say this about City or any, like Newcastle, right now, right? You could take any of these clubs and say, if these people, and this has been like it's Abramovich's ties to Putin that have ultimately caused this, right? And he knew it was coming, and that's what's happened here. So it's a weird situation, but in a different circumstance, somebody could say, hey, I'm done, I'm out. Like that's the thing I've always thought is terrifying, right? If your club is, if you're dependent on somebody just funding your club in that way, then what happens if they go, I've kind of done everything, I'm out, I'm over it. There's no guarantee you're going to have another Roman Abramovich waiting with that, with the being willing to be like, yeah, it's like playing, fantasy football here, right? I think that's where, I think City's, City run it as a business. I get that on the face of it, but ultimately the problem's the same, right? I think that's the bigger question that needs to be answered now around, like, because here's the thing, like, they have to find a way to make sure Chelsea exists. I mean, I'm not a Chelsea fan, right? My brother is. We have a big rivalry over it. I don't want to see them do well, but they should. I don't want to see them go out of existence, right? That's not right. It's not fair in the fans. It's not fair. It's not fair. People argue the players take money. They know the ownership. I think that's look, like you say, Pat. I think that's a little bit harsh. I think look, they're doing what they're doing, and Tuchel I think's done pretty well through it. And I wouldn't like to see them lose Tuchel. It's talking Man United. Should be poaching him, and I don't think that's right either. I think look. I think what will happen is, they'll find a way to allow Chelsea to be bought. What it will be interesting, I think, is the knock-on effect of how ownership is looked at, where you start to get into these scary situations. You're like, wow, this could happen where any of these massive clubs could go bust because of the ownership model, right? That's the scary stuff. I think they have to find a way to sort out. And I don't know if the fit and reasonable person test does enough. You look at other decisions with Newcastle, some of that stuff doesn't feel great. You're just like, I don't know. So it might force some conversations. But I think, Chelsea fans, it's, I think the team have actually done really well. I mean, they've really stuck together, and they're on a good run. They're on a great run, actually. It's a bit crazy, isn't it? It's all a bit crazy, but it's a weird situation. But there we go. That's it. Chelsea. Yeah, Chelsea fans, give heads up. Let us know how you're feeling. I don't know. It's harder for us on the outside of this, I guess. But that's kind of the view I take. But yeah, let's move on to I think so. It's Sarah on my team. It's her birthday today, right? She turns 30 today. It's big birthday, 30th. So I think her feeling behind there, right next to Bobby's shirt, kind of sums up things. It's like. Doesn't it, Waleed? Doesn't it? And Pat and I are just like, so I'm just going to just put this, I feel this section, I need to try and be economic with my words, which is not a strength of mine, as people will know. I know, Pat, shocking. But yeah, I think Pat and I just wanted to, I didn't have any popcorn ready. So Waleed, what do you think title race? I mean, things have got a little bit more interesting, haven't they? How are you feeling?
It's you gotta take it like a champ. I mean, you gotta accept the fact that Liverpool are in outstanding form. They have reinforced exceptionally well. Diaz and Jota were inspired signings, and they have been just playing very, very well. They've been playing out their skins. Obviously, City they've not taken their foot off the gas. They've been, like, for example, at Palace, they hit the post like 6, 7 times or something. Like, these things happen. You have bad games where, you're doing everything right, but apart from that little bit at the end. Obviously, I personally think it's Liverpool's to lose now. Like, I think that when they meet, the two sides meet in, I think when the two sides meet in April at the Etihad, Liverpool have this hold on the Etihad, which is unreasonable. But then again, let's remember, I'm the most pessimistic City fan you'll ever meet.
Ever. But literally
ever. I could have bet all the money I had that you were going to come on here and say, oh, absolutely, City have no chance. How could we possibly win? How could the best team in the world possibly win Premier League, from the front? How is that? And when you have the game at home, how is that ever possible? Like, I think they're still the best club. I think it's it's really impressive what Liverpool are doing. They're playing fantastic. And to think that the guy who might be playing better than anyone on the planet right now, Jota, can't get on the field, can't get on the pitch because the other three guys are so incredible as well. And Diaz coming into the team, that's incredible. But your whole team at City is a better team. And, what do I know? I'm the American guy who comes in and pretends like he knows something and don't know anything. But from what I've been able to see over the course of time, I feel like City's a better team. But it's still not going to surprise me if Liverpool decides to run off the rest of the season except for that one game. So I actually do believe City's going to win the game. I actually do believe that City's going to take the title, but it won't. Nothing's going to surprise me now. Like, City could drop another game, or they could have a couple more draws and lose that way. It's certainly possible, but I still do believe they're the best team, and I just think you're pessimistic.
Oh, so Pat, pessimistic is not the word. So Pat, I want to take you to. I'll take you to I support Ross County, who are they're actually in the SPL, in the top flight of Scottish football, and they have the top scorer in the league this year. So yeah, mid-table. But they you sit there at these games where you talk to these guys in the Highlands in Dingwall, in the small town in the north of Scotland where I'm from, and they are like the most negative and pessimistic fans. Like, it doesn't matter how the team are doing. They're just, and you'll sit with them and their narrative has not changed. Like, throughout, just it gets a little bit worse when the team aren't doing well. They are way more, they're a ray of sunshine compared to Waleed. Like, you've got the most stacked team with one of the most successful managers, right? And you're still finding a way to not believe. Look, here's the thing. If I'm being honest, right? If I'm like with Pat, if I look at the fixtures, and I look at that being a home game for City, my analytical head will go, the balance of probability slightly weighs towards City if you look at it from an objective perspective. But as a Liverpool fan, of course, I have to believe that we're going to win it. You have to believe, right? If I don't believe, this is the difference between Klopp and Guardiola. Half empty stadiums, full stadiums, right? Fans that believe, fans that are like, I don't know if I believe. It's like, that's a difference. Like, you have to back the team. I believe we are going to do it. I believe we are. I think we are a different team than City, but I think we are we've proven we are equal and sometimes better. And it's like what I really, really like, and I know I give Pep a hard time, right, for some of it. I mean, he has good value sometimes. I mean, he's just, some of the stuff he comes out with. But anyway, he did say that he was like, just that acknowledgement of like Liverpool being a pain in the ass, but he said, look, like, you're up against just a phenomenal team. And that's how Klopp feels. Like, we feel it's like, so like, yes, we could miss out by a point again. We could miss out in goal difference, right? It could be, City could beat us and they could, but the point is, it's like, you can just do, we are who we are, we're doing the best we can. And it's like, it's almost like, it makes you just kind of feel like, just enjoy it. This is not normal, that, you don't get this a lot where you get two truly great teams going at it, forcing each other to be better. And I think, as much as we've won our last 9 games, I said this before when we last spoke, there'll be twists and turns. There is more to come. I look at those fixtures. We've got a Merseyside derby, Everton, right? It's like, as much as you go, yeah, we should smash them, it just isn't going to be like that, right? Aston Villa, we both play them with the Gerrard factor, right? Away to Wolves, I think it's like we've got Man United. There's so many, and Champions League now. Champions League draw just come out as well. We've got, for a change, we got Man City's draw. We got the easy draw for a change. I'm like, wow, we got. I saw it. I was like, Benfica, are you? And then I saw the side we're in, and it's like, okay, yeah, we got to get past Villarreal or Bayern, but we have the two on paper weakest teams on our side, and obviously, you go Bayern, Real, City, Chelsea. It's much and such. City are going to have to do it slightly harder way. But I think their draw, Atletico, they'll beat them. They're not that good. But it's the next game, Real Madrid or Chelsea. You're going to have, so. In theory, Liverpool, Man City could battle for the Premier League title, be in the Champions League final against each other, and play in the FA Cup final against each other. How amazing would that be? Like, what a story that would be.
I mean, so there is reason behind my pessimism, not just because I am me. So we have Burnley this weekend, which are incredibly stubborn.
You almost smashed them. You almost absolutely smashed them.
No. This is at Turf Moor, though. This is at Turf Moor, and we know that is. Look at what happened to Spurs, right?
You're not Spurs. You're not Spurs. You're going to be okay. You'll be fine.
So don't worry. Don't get me wrong. So I will be reasonably optimistic there. I do believe we'll win that match, but it's going to take a lot of doing. But then we have Atletico immediately after. The Champions League, that is a huge priority for us. And then immediately after that, we have Liverpool. And then immediately after that, we have Atletico again. Like that stacking of those three fixtures, it's like, I don't know if you've seen the All or Nothing series with Man City, where we had Liverpool, United, Liverpool. This is pretty much that like for like, but Atletico, Liverpool, Atletico. And I think that will hurt. I do think that Liverpool's run-in is harder with Spurs and United and a Merseyside derby in the mix, and Everton will be playing out their skins in that match just because they are being threatened by relegation. But I think that, I don't know, I just feel like there's this almost momentum shift that can happen on the 10th of April that we need to basically look out for. I think this weekend's pretty crucial. If we can win this, and if Watford can maybe do us a solid and beat Liverpool, that'll hopefully do us some nice work there. But I don't know. I agree. I think there's still more twists and turns. But as it stands, I feel like the momentum is with Liverpool rather than City.
You know where I'm rooting, right? Where I want this to end up is I want this to end up being decided on goal difference, and I want Ross to get Mahrez. So I can give you a hard time about it and give Ross a hard time about it too. That's gin. That's Pat, that's Spice City here.
Pat, you're a sympathizer. You're a Liverpool sympathizer. You want us to win, and we know that. Now, I had an instinct this was true, and I just had to double check in my phone, okay? Because it's like one of those things like I watch a lot of football, right? When was the last time that you didn't beat Burnley?
We drew with them. We drew with them.
When?
I think it was 4 years ago, and that was at Turf Moor.
2018. Yeah. The last time they beat you was 2015.
Okay, but even if we drop points,
I'm
not worried about losing. I don't think we'll lose, but I think we will drop points. We can drop points.
Mate, that's enough. You beat them 98% of the time. That is just it. Like, here's the thing, right? You see, for example, I'm telling you this right now, right? Southampton against City, you should be worried because they're like there's these matchup teams you have, right? The way that Hasenhüttl set, there's something about that, right? Whereas Liverpool, they play well against us, but we seem relatively comfortable against them. Away to Burnley, it's always tight, and always uncomfortable because of the matchup. City just go there. Like here's the thing: we rarely score early against Burnley. City always score early, and then it's like game over because if they need to go and score a goal, you know what's going to happen. So listen, there almost couldn't be a better fixture, bar like Norwich or maybe not even Leeds now with their new manager for City on paper. We've got Watford at home, which again, in theory, is a good fixture, right? That should and I could argue, they beat us that game when they're unbeaten run, but we should beat Watford. So what I hope is we win those. What I want is we win those two games. Both teams win them or whatever, or we both draw them. As long as I love this gap of a point and going, it'd be cool for a level, right? And just saying, right, I love the spice that it brings to the fixture. And here's the thing about that game: there's so much going to be riding on that going into the game, even though there might not be, because Liverpool could win that game and then lose 3 games and lose the title, right? But the build up in the media. What I do know is neither team's going to change the way, and they're going to go at each other. And I tell you what, it will be, regardless of what the scoreline ends up being, it will be a spectacle. I will be obviously nervous. you'll be the same. We won't be able to enjoy it the same way that Pat will as a neutral, but I'm going to try and force myself to enjoy it, even though I'll just be like so nervous. But yeah, it's going to be amazing. So yeah, Riyad Mahrez is like phenom. By the way, though, Grealish is starting to show a little bit of something. I'm going to say that.
Very,
yeah,
very
little,
little, very little.
Harsh.
Yeah, I don't think you want to play Watford. I don't think you want to play Burnley. I don't think you want to play those teams at the bottom. Like, you want to find the team that Spurs got last week. You want to find Brighton, right? Somebody they're playing out the strength. They can't go up. They can't go down. Like, it's just, you can see it doesn't matter to them. These other teams that you have to play, actually, I'm with you on this a little bit too, Elite. I don't think they'll drop points, but I do think it'll be tough because Burnley wants to win really badly. They're trying to find a way to be able to stay up. So it's just going to be a blast. I mean, watching these last, I don't know how many games each team has, but it's something like nine for Liverpool. I guess it must be 9 for both.
9.
Yeah. So it's going to be fantastic to watch.
It's going to be awesome. Yeah. What about a word for, and look, if we don't mention this, we'll get noise from the Arsenal fans. I got noise before the game from the Arsenal fans, as usual, talking about them beating us and what if they beat us, and they're starting to feel confident they're on a good run. And then things played out as I said that they would, because, we just, and that's no criticism that Arsenal are, like, they're in a good spot, right? But it does open, I mean, Pat, for you, as much as the performance for Arsenal, I think, was they could take positives away, that they still got beaten and didn't, again, it just showed a little bit of a difference in the gulf that exists between, that pack of teams and really, probably not Chelsea at the moment, but certainly Liverpool and City. But for Spurs fans, it does open the door, and they've got, it's like, this is like, a bit of pressure on Arsenal now coming to the run-in, young team. United are still, I don't even know how, rattling about somehow in that mix with everything that's going on there. What's the reaction? Let's switch the focus to that pack there, that top 4 race, because that was a good one, because good one against Brighton, for Spurs. After getting beat by United, which.
Yeah, you knew it would happen, right? I mean, you knew it was going to be an evening where Spurs picked up 3 and Arsenal dropped 3. Because that's going to give us maximum hope, which means maximum pain later on down the line. You guys told me this before I chose my team. Don't choose Spurs, because it's just going to be a lot of pain. But look, I am that American optimist, total 180 from Waleed. I believe. I've got a sign that says Ted Lasso believe right above my office here. Like, I think there's a chance. I think there's always a chance. I think Arsenal's got a tough fixture this weekend against Villa. I think that's an easy game for them to lose. I think it must hurt, for all of our Gunners fans who are part of our company. It must hurt to see Bobby Firmino wandering around in the stands getting hugs from people right there in your own home pitch, right? That's got to be a little bit rough, right? But yeah, you love to see it. I know you love to see it, Ross.
You know what?
Yeah. So I think it could be anybody. It could be anybody. You look this weekend. You have Spurs playing West Ham. Anything can happen in this game. You don't know which teams are going to show up on either side. I wouldn't be surprised to see 3-0 either direction. I wouldn't be surprised to see 1-1. Like, nothing would surprise me in the game. And whatever happens, it doesn't decide anything, because you can have, United go on a run. You can have Arsenal's playing better than everybody in that pack, in my opinion. But Wolves are playing amazing defense. I love watching them, and I don't know what's going to happen. I love that part too. We've got 9 or 10 games left on the. For the top 4, and you got 4 teams involved, and everybody's actually 5 teams involved. So, who knows? So what do you think, Wally? What's going to happen?
I am currently admiring Ross's podcast service, where he's just getting a mixture of waffles, potato waffles, beans, and fish fingers, all in prep for his game later. So, I mean, I completely agree with you, Pat. I think that out of the sort of the 4 teams that are, I'd say 5 teams, there's Spurs, West Ham, Arsenal, United, Wolves. I think that Arsenal are playing the most rounded football, and I think that they probably do deserve to be 4th right now. But at the same time, there's something about, I don't think Wolves will get 4th, but there's something to admire about the way that West Ham are currently playing right now. Like, they're playing some exceptionally passionate football. It's not necessarily beautiful football. It's not necessarily the most structured football, but if you saw the highlights of them against Sevilla, absolutely outstanding atmosphere and passion from that team. And you want to see that in the top 4. You want to see it in that race.
Yarmolenko with the goal to win the game too. Wow, that was amazing.
That was powerful. That was powerful.
Yeah, it was absolutely powerful.
It was amazing. Yeah, I think West Ham, I think, unfortunately, that result almost puts them out of the top 4 race in my mind, where
Yeah,
they're going to naturally, they have a chance to win like a major trophy. It's going to take. You said the West Ham fans, you can finish in the top 4 and get a shot in the Champions League, or you could win the Europa League. I think you take the trophy, wouldn't you? I think, as a West Ham fan, so I certainly would anyway. I'd say take the trophy, and that gets you there as well, right? You get a trophy and you get into Champions League. So I feel like they're going to be torn, and I think that they just don't have the squad depth. That's Arsenal's problem. But here's the thing for Arsenal now. Part of the challenge, I think the advantage they had a little bit was they didn't have any distraction apart from domestic football. Now Man United are in that same bucket. And now, but Spurs, so now, like, all things are equal. I had a look at the run-ins, and like, I think Spurs on paper, if you analysed it, is probably the easiest. Arsenal's is second. United's is a little bit more choppy. But like you said, but the best thing about it is that Arsenal there were threatening that this will be the telling thing for me is not Arsenal losing to Liverpool, right? That's not going to define their top 4. It's, can you go to Aston Villa? The game, it's almost not those games like if you play Chelsea, like they could lose that game, right? But Spurs could lose that game, but they could win it. I mean, it's one of those, right? It's those other games, and Arsenal were on, I think it was 5 in a row they won. They were on a run that was saying they were showing that sign of consistency, which Spurs and Man United, I don't think they've not shown capability to do that really this season. That will be the thing. If Arsenal can almost put this Liverpool, the result out their minds, and they continue on that path, they won't be caught. They won't be caught. But there's that big if, isn't it? A little bit of doubt in their minds, a little bit of pressure. It's all these, and then they're one injury away from a crisis. They've got a great 11, 12, 13 players. Not much outside of that. Whereas I think, like, I know Tottenham, like, they took Conte, we reduced the number of players. You got rid of Dele Alli. That's a win, right? That's an absolute win, right? Terrible footballer, terrible hair, terrible guy, out the club, good business. But Kulusevski's come in, Bentancur, they've improved them. I don't care what anyone tells you. They've made them, Spurs are a better functioning team right now than they were. So, and Man United are just, honestly, they just have brilliant individual players that will dig them out of holes, and it's how many holes will they dig them out? That's the beauty of this, right? It's almost like it makes it so exciting.
It's gonna be Wolves or Arsenal who are gonna get 4th. Unfortunately, Pat, and don't trust me, I would love to see you be excited about the Champions League like Ross and I are, because the European Conference League doesn't quite cut it. But at the same time, I just feel like the team that's going to get 4th is not necessarily going to be the team that is getting all the points. It's the one that loses the fewest in this respect. Like, I think that we're going to see lots of teams peeling off. Like United are one injury away from a crisis. Arsenal do have a relative amount of depth. It's not great depth, but in the positions that they need to, they're deep enough. Wolves look pretty solid. I don't think we can count Wolves out just yet. I don't know. Which team out of all of those do you fear the most there, Pat?
Wolves are out.
So I would say European Conference League doesn't quite cut it, and yet last time I checked, we're not playing in that anymore either. So that's not great, right? But the team that actually does worry me is Arsenal. I think that they play at a more consistent level and at a higher level at times than the other teams do, and so I do worry a little bit that they may run it out in a way that's difficult for Spurs to keep up with. We're back 3 points, and they've got a game in hand as well, which is tough. We do still have the North London Derby. It's not scheduled yet, as far as I know, but we've got that still coming up. That's going to be a game that really matters a lot. But at the same time, I fully, from everything I've seen for the last 2 months, I fully expect that Spurs are going to win some tough games, and they're going to drop some points that they really shouldn't drop. And that'll just be the story, from here to the end of the year. Maybe we wire things together. Maybe Romero plays great defense from here to the end. Maybe Lloris plays better. Who knows? But if I had to put my money on it right now, who do I say is going to be 4th? I would say Arsenal.
I agree. I think, to your point, Waleed, I think Wolves, to me, are out of it in my mind. The reason I know you're saying, if you look at what do Wolves and Arsenal have in common that Man United, Tottenham, I think West Ham do, but I just think West Ham's maybe a slightly different situation, is that they have a group of players that is buying in to what the manager's doing, right? You can see that at Arsenal, right? The fans are now buying in. The Arsenal fans are bought into what's going on there, right? At Old Trafford and at Spurs New Stadium, like there's still that, like they're not truly bought in because they don't believe in it because they can't see because the manager isn't, right? That's the problem. They're the most together groups. I would argue though, like if Lacazette gets injured, Arsenal have nobody. Like they have nobody. Like if Odegaard gets injured, like I mean they've got like what Smith Rowe on the bench. When I look at their bench, you go, oh, he can come on and make a difference. Beyond that, unless there's some youngsters that we are not aware of, they've got to stay healthy. But yeah, listen, it's going to be great. I mean, it's just I mean, even at the bottom, you've got, I mean, Everton, a massive win, by the way. Like, I mean, down to 10 men. I mean, Alex Iwobi scoring a goal is upsetting in general terms, right? Just because, like, I don't think he's just terrible. Anyway, I don't understand why he plays, but he got it done last night. But I mean, that down there, it's like, bar Norwich look like they're down at Watford. It's hard to see a way back under Hodgson. They won't win enough games. They might draw, but they won't win. But that third spot, I mean, Burnley, like you expect, they haven't, looked like they were going to do this, just dig themselves out, but they've regressed again. It's, I don't know. I'm finding it hard. Brentford have gone on a bit of a run now. Leeds look like they might just get out, but they're not. Nobody's pushing them. Newcastle, the only team for me that have pushed themselves out of that conversation. All these other teams are still in that conversation. And my goodness, there's going to be some massive games coming up for those teams at the bottom of the table. I can't remember as exciting a Premier League as this with regards to how much is on the line at all those different parts. And then you say you've only got a small number of teams like your Brightons, probably Newcastle, maybe one win away from it, that are kind of like, they're going to finish mid-table. They're not going to get relegated. They're not going to get Europe. But there's not that many of them. Like there's a lot on the line, which is like, again, you love to see it. It makes it, it means I want to watch. I'm watching Newcastle versus Everton, where normally I probably wouldn't, right? Because I'm like, that's a huge game, right? But yeah, what do we think with the bottom then? Any, Frank, maybe a slice of luck last. They didn't play well, by the way. Did not play that well. Newcastle were better, in my opinion. What do we think? Do we think Burnley, or is this the year? Is this the year that Burnley go down?
Pat, you first.
I would say I still think that just because they had one win each recently, that doesn't mean that either Everton or Leeds are safe. Both teams are playing horrible football right now, and so like I'm looking to see which of them is actually going to fall down into the bottom three and get relegated. And I think it's great fun. It's great fun to see two teams that I'm sure it's a bigger deal if Everton drops, but still, it makes it more fun. Like it's not as much fun to watch Watford or Norwich drop. It's more fun to watch one of these teams you didn't expect to drop, right? I like the carnage. It's great.
I completely agree. I want to see some ups and downs. I want to see some movement. I want to see Leeds stay up, just because I'm curious to see what Jesse Marsch can bring to the league. I'm tired of Sean Dyche, but I'm even more tired of Frank Lampard. So I'm happy to see Everton get relegated. I would ideally, I'd like 4 teams to get relegated, but that's not really quite how it works. So I think the lesser of two evils is keeping Burnley up and Leeds up and sinking Everton, because I just don't enjoy the fixture. I just, there's something about heading to Goodison that just makes me think, like, I don't know, it just reminds me of stale bread. I just don't like it.
You don't like Frank? What's your issue with Frank? Like, he's a Man City legend, is he not? No?
Man City legend, don't get me wrong, loved it when he scored against Chelsea and he raised his hands up as in, I am the Messiah. But I don't know, he seems very entitled. He knows how important he has been in the league, and I feel like he just thinks that just because he did really well in the league means that he has to be a great manager and people should bow to his feet. I mean, he did a reasonable job at best at Derby, and then got the Chelsea job and expected a ton of transfer money, and people expected him to, and himself as well, to do exceptionally well. But let's be perfectly honest, he's just okay. Like, he will lead a championship to do very well. He's probably, he's like, which manager was it that sort of went away? No, it was still Frank Lampard who sort of went away and realized he's not very good. So I think we need him to be humbled a little bit, maybe go to the championship for a bit, sink his teeth there, and then come back up.
I would love to see that. I would love to see Everton go down, but personal thing. But no, I don't think they will. I think they'll be okay. I do. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, four competitions that are really kind of things that you can't miss, that you must watch. Top of the Premier League, who gets in Champions League, who gets relegated, and then the Draft Fantasy League in our company. That's pretty much like that's must see right there as well. I don't know who's leading that now. Who's at the top of the? I'm not sure who's the top of the table there. Want me to cheer up again?
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, look, I probably 4 weeks in, I was in last, and all of a sudden I find myself sitting up here on top of the heap. It's fantastic. We love it.
What I would say is the fantasy draft. That is the first year I've done it. I would say that I think it's better. Like I do, like, because it's not like everyone has Salah. It does, and I think it really is. It adds a different dimension that I didn't think I would enjoy as much, but I actually found I'd be more invested in that than my normal fantasy league, because I mean, like, people becoming free, like Bamford's back from injury. I think there's more, there's more in it there. Whereas like you can just copy and go, like everyone knows that Kane's in a hot streak, like just everyone transfers Kane in, and it's a bit it's a bit less fun in that respect. But what do we think then? Let's we need to round out with some fantasy tips. What do we we've got, I mean, well, Leeds on a hot streak, so maybe start with him. What are we thinking then? I mean, this run-in, I mean, you're probably, I'm saying to folks, if you've got chips left, think about playing them. There's this weekend, there's not many games, so this is a potential free hit week, but there is going to be fixtures to reschedule, so there's double weeks. So it's like, what do? Do you play it now? Because if you don't have many players in the teams that are playing, you might want to take a chance and play it. But I would say that's true. But what do you think, Willie? What's the, probably not that many transfers going to happen between now and the end of the season for most teams. Who do you think is going to get hot in the running?
So I will be completely open and clear, because I am, a man of the people. I have played my free hit because it's sensible to do it when you feel like the fixtures look pretty clear cut as to who's going to win and who's going to do well. Like Wolves are playing, who are they playing?
Leeds.
They're playing
Leeds at home.
Yeah, Leeds are struggling to score at the moment. I mean, they just about pipped Norwich, which is something. And Wolves have the most stubborn defense. I can't see them making any goals. I'm hoping for a draw.
Triple captain Connor Cody. There you go.
But I mean, I feel like so my tactic this week is to go hard on the teams that I feel are going to win and maxing that out. Like none of this, oh, maybe I'll put my eggs in one basket or this or the other. No, purely maximizing the teams that I think stand the best chance.
Wow. Okay. Pat, what any other Ben Chilwells, he's the apple of your eye. Is there any other one that's
just the Wolves defense, all day long. I think I look back over what happened at the time that we drafted, and I think I had Semedo at the beginning. I didn't have Sa, I didn't have Kilman, I didn't have Seiss, and I have all of them now. And it's like it's almost a guaranteed 18 points for me. I mean, 3 6s right there, clean sheets, and they're really, really defending well. So I think you're playing Leeds this week, and we said that Wolves are out of it. I don't think Wolves are out. I think they're going to put up another 0 this week. So I'd be loading up on those 3.
Okay. I would say that for me, Kulusevski at like 6.1 million is a snip. He's a snip. Yeah. Plays every game. I know he's not, Kane's one, Kane or Son, it's like, that's where the glut of goals will come from. Back one of those horses if you want. And the other one is Ronaldo becomes compelling all of a sudden. For me, is like where you're going to go and like, I'm going to say something a little bit controversial here. As a Liverpool fan, I would consider ditching Salah. And again, this is where if you need to make a play to get a catch on points, I think people they'll ride Salah out for the rest of the season, because it seems silly not to, because he's so good. Number of games, Champions League, the fact, to your point, Pat, like we are able to rotate now. We've got 5 quality players in those positions who are all fit. I think he will start more than most. Like he's almost the first one on the team sheet, but he may not play the amount of minutes that he's played. And there's just that, every player in a season has a little bit of a dip. There's a sign of that, we're at the moment where he's not quite where he was. So I would say you could look at like a Kane or Ronaldo You could empty it, or you look at De Bruyne, I think is the one for Man City. Like, you could go Sterling and he's out of the team. Like, Pep's just a nightmare. So De Bruyne is the only one I trust him with. It's whether, like, City at the moment are like, they're not scoring tons of goals, right? So they're not in like they could explode. I mean, against Burnley, I would say they'll smash Burnley. I think they'll smash them, but I think Tottenham are compelling. I think Kulusevski he's so cheap, you can't ignore him. And I think the way Conte plays, the style he'll play, I think Ronaldo or Kane, like, it's hard to pick. Like, Ronaldo could score 2 hat-tricks in the bounce, right? So I think there could be like more big week-to-week upside with him. Not that Kane can't do it. I think Kane probably scores more goals through the last however many games aggregate, but Ronaldo, I think, he looks like he's in the mood, and especially against lower opposition. Yeah, I would be saying there. And then the other ones I got, like Matty Cash and Target, like they've both been phenomenal for me. They're like cheap. Like, both teams are defensively pretty sound. Villa on a good moment, Newcastle very good moment. Both take set pieces or involved in attacking play. What about Joe Linton? He's turned into like a world-class midfielder. Like, this guy, he's absolutely electric. I'm like that. He's so good in midfield. Like, have you seen this? He is.
Yeah.
Like, he's just not got the goals now. Like, see if he adds like assists and goals. I can't believe it. It's unbelievable what he's doing.
One more that I forgot, and he's someone who's on my draft league team as well, and that's Tony from Brentford. I think that, like, he had a long stretch where he wasn't doing much. He had a lot at the start of the year. 5 goals in his last 2 games, 3 penalties. He hasn't missed a penalty. He's 18 for 18 on the penalty side, and they're playing Leicester this weekend, who's also not playing all that well. It's away, but still, it's
Leicester,
not. It's a fixture. Yeah,
Leicester aren't good, but I would say the other one is it's hard to ignore Coutinho. Like, he's the other one I'd say. Villa, they do have tough fixtures in the run-in, but there'll be weeks where he'll put up big points. He's at the heart of everything that team does creatively. I think he's going to be hard to ignore in the form that Villa are in. But again, there might be certain weeks where he'll be against the bigger teams, maybe not. Right? I would say.
I would say one more to all of those, and that is to invest in Arsenal. I'd say Gabriel Martinelli is a really good shout there. Like, he's been incredibly aggressive in his play, and when Lacazette goes missing, Martinelli is the one who sort of takes that more forward role in front of Odegaard and takes a lot of the ball from Saka as well. So I think he might be a good one to have, because he's a midfielder. If he scores, that's a bucket load of points.
Well, he's also good for a red card as well. So there you go. That's it. I like Martinelli. I think he's a year or 2 away from being a proper player. So if it was me, I would go safe with Saka. I think him or Odegaard. I think that's where you're getting the points from now. Like, Martinelli he could have he's playing well. I just don't know that the end product is not quite there for me. Like, he's really playing well, but I just think Saka, if you said who'd you give a chance to in a game, who's more likely to score, I think Saka puts it away. So, but you're right. I think, Arsenal defensively, Arsenal as well, by the way, are worth a look. They are worth a look. Okay, Wilson, has been a pleasure as always. We covered a lot of stuff. The title race is heating up. Just love to see it. A point in it. Burnley and Watford is the next game after the FA Cup. FA Cup this weekend, a little bit of a distraction. Some Premier League games, which is cool. But yeah, I wonder where things will be the next time we speak, chaps. What do we think? Any predictions?
I think United are going to lose something somehow, and things are going to get worse for them.
Okay. Pat, any predictions you think next time we speak? So it will be before the Man City Liverpool game we'll speak. What any predictions before that?
Well, I think that Arsenal's going to drop the game at Villa this weekend. And I think that's, and I would tell you, I don't have any idea what's going to happen with Spurs and West Ham. That's a big game. Looking forward to it.
Huge. Well, I will predict that Man City, as usual, will absolutely dispatch Burnley with ease. Liverpool will have like a mediocre routine win against Watford. And I actually think I'm going to back Arsenal to do one on Villa and continue this form. I think it's going to be. I want to watch that game. It's going to be a really, really good game. I think their teams are kind of set up similarly in a way that they're kind of defense first. It's going to be interesting to see how that one pans out. But yeah, I've got a feeling Arsenal might sneak it. But okay, well, listen, always a pleasure. Thanks to everyone for listening, and yeah, we'll catch you next time. Cheers.
Awesome.